already clearly discussed in previous class, my dear friends. So today we are going to discuss about the another phytohormones like gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid, and ethylene. So remaining all we will going to complete today's class. Okay, my dear friends. So auxins are very useful for the promoting of the induction of the roots, and also some of the most important effects we are observed in plants, that is the phototropism, geotrophism, and thigmotrophism. We are clearly observed in the effect of the auxins in all plants. And this is the role of the auxin for the elongation of the cell. And now we are going to discuss about the another important phytohormone, that is cytokinin. Okay, cytokinin is one of the most important hormone, phytohormone, which is very useful for the development of the plants, and also it is very useful. The meaning of the cytokinins. So kinin means cyto means cell, kinin means division. So the main function of the cytokinins are the cell division or increase the number of cells. Just because of the cytokinins, the cell division has occurred. Okay, and the cytokinins are produced especially in tips of the roots. Cytokinins are produced in tips of the root tip or root tips. The region, the origin of cytokinins are root tips. And what are the effects of phytohormones in plants? Especially mitosis for production of the new cells. Even though the growth is depends upon the cytokinin. Why? Because without cytokinin there is no different, there is no mitosis. Without mitosis the number does not increase. Without increase of the cells, our number does not increase, then automatically growth is stopped. So that's why the development and growth is depends upon the cytokinins. Okay, and it stimulates seed germination and new shoot growth. Cytokinins are very useful for the shoot growth also, induction of the shoot growths of different plants in the entire plant kingdom. And the discovery of these cytokinins, especially the Litham and Skoog. Litham and Skoog, they are the eminent scientists who discovered the cytokinins in various plants like Geomage. So especially corn milk, Geomage, corn milk, especially the younger stage of the corn milk or the Geomage seeds, they are separated the chemical component that Letham and Skoog has named. That cytokinin name is geotin. So before coined the term cytokinin, the Letham and Skoog has given the name, that is geotin. So geotin very similar to the cytokinin, which is extracted from the younger seed of the or kernel of the especially Geomage. And then the cytokinins, especially cytokinins, the very important activities of the cytokinins are especially it induces the meristematic regions, apical meristematic regions in shoot, and even though the root meristematic regions, shoot and root. Okay, now shoot and root meristematic regions are grown with the help of the cytokinins. Okay, now in plant tissue culture, cytokinins are one of the most important phytohormones which are using for the cultures, development of the culture, especially morphogenesis. So whenever we can add the cytokinins in the culture media is having that the prominent cytokinins, then automatically the callus is induces number of shoots from the callus. So cytokinin stimulates the production of the shoots in the tissue culture laboratory in artificial manner, even though whenever we are cut down of the trees, then new shoots are produced or new shoots are germinated from the long trunks. So that is also stimulated by the cytokinins. But whereas in auxins, the comparison with cytokinins, auxins are stimulates the roots from the cuttings of different shoots or even though some other plants pots. And the one of the most important area of this cytokinins, before going to gibberellin, the cytokinins are very important for cytokinins are most important for induction of the lateral shoots. Generally, auxins are very useful for the induction of the uh, especially promotes the apical bud that we can call as uh, uh, apical dominance, and lateral shoots are controlled by the apical bud, whereas the cytokinins as induced lateral buds, and the lateral buds are very important for the production of the new shoots or branches of the stem whenever we are going to apply. And morphogenesis is one of the important area, even the plant tissue culture, and but also the external environment. The cytokinins are very important for production of the shoots from the cutting trees or some other tissue culture techniques. And the cytokinins also important for the opening of the stomata during whenever the cytokinins has accumulated or induction of the opening of the stomata. Without opening of the stomata, there is no exchange of the gases from external environment to the internal area of the leaf and also plants. So that's why the opening and closing of the stomata depends upon the opening of the stomata, especially opening of the stomata is depends upon cytokinins. Okay, cytokinins are induction of the opening of the stomata. And some of uh, the whenever we are going to apply cytokinins, uh, the senescence is going to delay. Whenever the senescence is going to delay, this effect we can call as Richmond Lang effect. Richmond Lang effect. This Richmond Lang effect, in this Richmond Lang effect, the delaying of the senescence we are observing the number of different plants. Okay, just because whenever we are going to apply the cytokinins, then automatically the senescence is delayed. Okay, we are also observed self life and vase life in vegetable sellers, and also even though the flower vendors, okay, making of the bouquets, they are used the cytokinins for the freshness or the related new ones. That means that is very fresh leaves, or even though the fresh flowers we are observed during the application of the cytokinins. Then we are going to discuss another important phytohormones, that is gibberellin. Am I clear? It is visible, gibberellin. Gibberellins are visible. Anybody? వినపడుతున్నానండి నేను?
Visible, sir.
Right, gibberellins. So the gibberellins, especially in Japan country. Are you ever heard the term Japan? Are you ever heard the country name Japan? Japan is an island which is situated in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so Pacific Mahasamudram ఉన్నటువంటి ఇదొక దీవి జపాన్. So the Japan, in the Japan, the scientists observed Bacane disease. What disease, amma? Bacane disease. This Bacane disease also we can call as foolish seedling disease. Foolish seedling disease. In this disease, in paddy plants or paddy field, they are observed. Paddy field or the paddy or rice plants is growing very rapidly and more than 4 feet or 5 feet, then automatically going to the fall down on the soil. Just because of this Gibberella fusiculae, it is a fungi or fungal organism which is responsible for the the highly elongation of the plants or the internode elongation of the plants by the gibberellins. So whenever the gibberellin is applied for the normal or healthiest plants, then the healthier plants also infected by this gibberellin or gibberella fusiculae fungal extraction. The normal or healthier rice plants also grown very rapidly and they are fall down on the soil. Then automatically the farmers they are lost of the crops, and also they are lost of their crop field, and the yield is also decreased. So why it has happening? The scientists they are discovered just because of the fungal organism, that is the Gibberella fusiculae, the asexual uh, what we stage of the Gibberella fusiculae is that we can Fusarium moniliforma. Fusarium moniliforma is the sexual stage, is the responsible for this Botany disease or foolish seedling disease, which they are observed on rice plants of the paddy field. So this is one of the best extraction or best experiment or best discovery for whenever the gibberellins, not only the elongation of the internode, but also some of the other roles or other impacts on the phytohormones impacts on different physiological functions. Gibberellins are produced root and shoot tips of the plants. Okay, the root tips and shoot tips are root apical meristem and shoot apical meristem. We are observed the gibberellins as are produced. Then the the effect of the phytohormones are that is early cycles of the flowering. That means induction of the flowering, especially my dear friends, remember the gibberellins are induction of the induced male flowers only. My dear friends, remember auxins. In previous classes we have discussed auxins are induced or modified male flowers to female flowers. But whereas gibberellins, whenever we are going to apply the gibberellins, induction of the flowers, majorly they are all male flowers. Okay, that we can call as bolting. And also the seed germination. Seed germination is one of the most important criteria. This is caused by gibberellins. So gibberellins are induced of this germination of the seeds, just because of the alpha amylase enzyme which is having the inside the seeds. Whenever the alpha amylase is activated, then automatically the seed is going to germinate. So this is caused by or induced by gibberellin. And also the dormancy is also exciting. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Okay, then rapid growth of the stem and seeds also caused by the gibberellins. Okay, next. So this is internode elongation. This slide shows about the internode elongation we are observed in the dwarf plants like cabbage and the cauliflower. Whenever we are going to apply on the cauliflower or cabbage, the internodes or nodes are going to grow very rapidly. So that means removal of the genetic dwarfness. Removal of the genetic dwarfness caused by these gibberellins. Okay, and also it is induction of the growth of the plants. Gibberellin is also very useful for the induction of the plant growths, and also the induction of the fruits, induction of the fruits, induction of the fruits. Chep- చెప్పండి చెప్పండి. దేని గురించి? కాలేజీకి రావాలి, ప్రిన్సిపల్ తోటి మాట్లాడండి. అవును అడుగుతారు. మరి మీరు స్కాలర్షిప్ అప్లై చేయకపోతే డబ్బులు అడగరండి. మీరు కాలేజీకి రండి, ప్రిన్సిపల్ సార్తో మాట్లాడండి, ఉంటుంది, రండి. సో ఇక్కడ మనం గమనించినప్పుడు ప్రత్యేకించి మై డియర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ రిమెంబర్, సో ది internode elongation caused by the gibberellins. The gibberellins are very highly effective for the removal of the genetic dwarfiness of the different plants. Experimentally we are proved in the cabbage and cauliflowers. Okay, and why it is called gibberellins? Actually gibberellins, why the gibberellins is called, we are already discussed. The gibberellins are the Japanese farmers discovered in fungus, that is the Gibberella fusiculae, which is discovered by the Kurosawa, Sawada, Yabuta, Hayashi, Sumuki. These are the scientists related to Gibberellins discovery, and they are named after the discovery of the Gibberellins. They are 19 carbon components or 20 carbon components of these gibberellins. The carbons are the content of the carbons, or the number of carbons are 19 or 20 carbons we are observed in these gibberellins. Okay, the effect of the gibberellins we are observed here. So this is the whenever we are going to, before going to apply of this plant, then whenever we are going to apply, the plant is going grown very rapidly. Why? Because of the internode elongation. So dwarf plants is going to grown very rapidly, and they are height in manner. Okay, and is also, my dear friends, remember, in this is the season of the grapes. Are you ever eat these grapes, my dear friends? Anybody? Grapes, are you ever heard term grapes? No. గ్రేప్స్ చూడలేరండి మీరు? ద్రాక్ష పళ్ళు. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So the increase of the fruit sizes in the clusters of the grapes. ఓకేనా? ఈ గ్రేప్స్ కి సంబంధించినటువంటి ఈ గుత్తుల్లో వాటి యొక్క సైజ్, అంటే ఫలాల యొక్క సైజును పెంచడంలో కూడా ఈ జిబ్బరెలిన్స్ అనేటువంటి తోడ్పడుతుంది. So gibberellins are induced the size of the fruits in the bunches or clusters of the fruits, especially in grape plants. Then now we are going to discuss, and one of the important points we will going to discuss here, my dear friends. Gibberellins are one of the most important phytohormones for the produced the parthenocarpic fruits. The parthenocarpic fruits means the seedless. See, just because of we know we are observed in the market the seedless fruits we can call as parthenocarpic fruits. The parthenocarpic fruits are just because of the impact of the gibberellins. Okay, na impact of gibberellins. And determination of the sex also caused by the gibberellins. Especially it induces the male flowers from the different plants. In agriculture we are observed these gibberellins in different way, especially the barley, in Hordeum vulgare, in barley plants, the induction of the malt for the in beverage industries, especially making of the beer and wine. The malt is very, very important for the fermentation process. So that's why the induction of the malt formation by the application of these gibberellins in barley plants or other, even though the monocotyledon crops. Okay, so this is about the gibberellins. Am I clear?
So in seeded plants, why we can't use gibberellin, sir?
Again amma malli cheppandi.
In gibberellins, why in seeded plants, why we can't use the gibberellin, sir?
Okay, generally the gibberellins are induced to the parthenocarpic fruits just because of without fertilization without fertilization, the ovary is modified into fruit. Ovaries are modified into fruit. Then automatically fruits are formed. So that fruit does not possess seeds. So that fruits we can call as parthenocarpic fruits. The parthenocarpic fruits are induced by gibberellins. But my
Okay,
dear,
sir.
some of the exemption are there. Some of the exemption are there, my dear friends. All plants or all fruits does not impact or induced by the gibberellins. Some of the exemptions are there. Am I clear? Then the next one, abscisic acid. So abscisic acid we can also call as one of the important plant growth regulator, which is also called as a growth inducer, growth inhibitor hormone or plant growth inhibitor. It is not promoting hormone; it is a inhibiting hormone. But inhibiting hormone also one of the most important for the protection of the plant in during stress condition or in drought condition or in extreme conditions. So that's why this abscisic acid is also we can call as stress hormone. What we can say that, my dear friends? Stress hormone. Stress hormone. The main function of this, the role of the abscisic acid is dormancy. So seed dormancy or bud dormancy. We are also observed in some of the what we can say that uh, potatoes. Some of the potato vendors they are applied with this abscisic acid. Whenever they are going to apply, the potatoes are stored in a cold storage or even though the other storehouses without production of the birds just because of the application of this abscisic acid. So that means the abscisic acid is the main role of this abscisic acid is dormancy. Then automatically the potatoes are not going to germinate so many days just because of this abscisic acid, my dear friends. And also this abscisic acid is produced in the area of the chloroplast region. Chloroplast region. The site of the chloroplast region, the abscisic acid is produced. That means unripened fruits. What we can say that, my dear friends? Unripened fruits. Okay. Unripened fruits also, all green colored pods also, the abscisic acid is produced. Then what are the effects related to this abscisic acid, my dear friends? Just because of this abscisic acid, one of the most important is dormancy. Whenever extreme conditions like drought, cold, temperature, okay, salt, this type of even the floods, flood stress, temperature stress, drought stress, cold stress, these type of biotic or abiotic stresses more impact on plant development or growth and development. Whenever the drought conditions or stress conditions are present, then automatically the plants can produce this abscisic acid. Whenever the abscisic acid is produced insidally, the stomata is going to closer. Stomata is going to closer. In previous in previous slide, we are observed that stomata is opening. Stomata is opening by cytokinins, but stomata is closing by abscisic acid, my dear friends. Am I clear? And also the senescency, especially induction of the senescence, and also dormancy were also observed in different plants. In this dormancy or senescence phase, we are observed leaves and fruits are also going to, or seeds also going to fall down from the trees or plants. Stomata is going to closer, and even though reduce the water loss during the drought stresses. Whenever the drought condition has occurred, water is not available, the scarcity of the water, drought condition has occurred, then automatically the abscisic acid produced incidentally. The abscisic acid, whenever produced incidentally, then stomata is going to closer. Okay. And the uh, abscisic acid mainly we are observed in the different plant pots during daylight it is decreases. Daylight decreases in the winter. The chloroplast in the plant recognize a shorter photo period. Shorter photo period. It is also triggering dormancy, that we can also, even though the bud dormancy, okay, bud dormancy, especially bud dormancy. So the blood bud dormancy, bud dormancy is caused by this abscisic acid. During this period, the flowers and seeds and leaves fall down from trees. Okay. So that we can call as that is the most important features of the abscisic acid. Then the last one, that is ethylene, my dear friends. Ethylene is also very important phytohormone, and it is a specific hormone compared to other hormones, other plant growth regulators. Ethylene is a gaseous hormone. Ethylene is a gaseous hormone compared to other hormones. Ethylene is very important phytohormone for the ripening of the fruits or death of the fruits. So just because of we are observed the different plants, fruits, they are going to ripening just because of the production of the ethylene inside the plants. Okay, so the main site of the production of this ethylene is number one, ripening of the fruits. Even though aging flowers, whenever the complete development or matured flowers, whenever going to fall down, that ethylene is also production. Even though the germinating seeds and wounded tissue, whenever we are going to cut down of the some part of the plants, that cut or wounded plant or wounded part of the plant can going to produce this ethylene. Okay, and the effect of this ethylene is it stimulates the fruits ripening and flowers to enter senescence. That means grow older. The senescence is also increased by this ethylene. Okay, so we are observing the fruit vendors. So many, even though the four వీలర్స్ తోపుడు బండి అని మనం చెప్పుకుంటాం, ఇలాంటి వాటిలో మనం అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తాం. వీఆర్ అబ్జర్వ్డ్ ఇన్ బనానా, బంచెస్ ఆఫ్ ది బనానా, the epicarpic layer or outer layer of this banana fruit, we are observed a number of dots or spotted, the dark color or brown color patches we are observed on the surface of the banana fruit, just because of the impact of the ethylene, my dear friends. The answer is ethylene. So that is not a bad formation, my dear friends. That means the ethylene is used for the increase of the sugar content in that fruit. Okay, and it is a gaseous substance. It is very uh, compared to other phytohormones, it is a very simplest hormone. It is a gaseous hormone. The main function of this ethylene is the ripening of the fruit. And the other hormones, ethylene effects we are observed of different uh, roles of the plants we are observed. So here the buds, how to develop these buds, and the complete flower is the blooming flower we are observed in this slide. And also the unripened banana is also observed in a week. Within a week, how to turn the color of this banana just because of the application of this phytohormone of ethylene in externally. Even though the internally ethylene is also produced internally, and after 1 week the color of the banana is going to change, and the spotted or the patches banana we are observed in the especially banana fruits. And here the auxins and cytokinins, the comparison between the two hormones. What are the comparison between the auxins and cytokinins? Whenever the amount of the auxin is greater than cytokinins, then roots is produced. Then the cytokinins is compared to the amount of the cytokinins is greater than auxins, then automatically shoots. Okay. Right. Right. Thank you. So whenever the comparison between the auxins and cytokinins, the amount of the auxin is greater than the cytokinin, the roots are formed. Or even though the cytokinins are greater than the auxins, automatically shoots are formed. Okay, now the even though the amount of the cytokines is greater than the auxin, greater than the auxin, then automatically shoots are produced. Auxins is auxins is also greater than the cytokinin, roots are formed. That is the comparison between auxins and cytokinins. And this slide shows about the differences between the gibberellins and abscisic acid, between these two phytohormones impact on the plants. Whenever the amount of the cytokines is greater than the abscisic acid, greater than the abscisic acid, then the leaves are going to turn it into uh, yellow or brown color, or green color is going to turn out, and then brown color or the green color is going to uh, disappear. Why? Because the senescence caused by this abscisic acid. And gibberellins, whenever the gibberellin percentage or gibberellin amount is increased than the greater than the abscisic acid, the flower is going to produce. Number of flowers is produced just because of the gibberellins. Okay, so gibberellins are most important for the determination of the sex of the flowers, and also the production of the flowers, number of flowers, due to the cause of the bolting. The whenever we are going to apply of the gibberellins and produce of the production of the flowers, we can call as bolting. Okay, the bolting is caused by gibberellins, and Richmond Long effect is caused by cytokinins. And this slide shows about the different five types of the phytohormones. What are the roles of these phytohormones? Finally, we are going to discuss in this slide the auxin. The main auxin is product. Auxin is the main roles of the auxins are produces the roots from the stem cuttings, and even though the plants, and cell elongation, and acts through tropism, geotropism, phototropism, thigmotropism. Thigmotropism means that is nothing but touch, the sensation of the touch. Whenever the tendril plants like all cucurbitaceae family members, they are grown, or they are very nearer to the surfaces of the walls or even the other plants, then automatically the tendrils are going to encircle of these plants, shoots or other parts of the plants, then they are taking the support from the different plants, and they are growing, or they are climbing of that walls, even though the other plants, just because of the thigmotropism. Okay, the thigmotropism caused by auxin. Geotropism means root induced the inside the soil. Phototropism means the shoot or aerial branch of the plant, or even though shoot can grow directly whenever the light has coming. Okay, that is phototropism, geotropism, and thigmotropism caused by these auxins. And the second one, cytokinins. The cytokinins roles are produce new shoots from the callus, and even though the plants, and even though whenever we are going to cut down of the large number of trees, number of aged trees, that tree also can gain growing or produces new shoots just because of the cytokines. And mitosis of new cells, and seed germination. So seed germination is also important of the cytokinin along with gibberellin. Gibberellin is also main hormone or phytohormone for the germination of the seeds, just because of this induces the alpha aminase enzyme activity caused by the gibberellin. And gibberellins promotes the internode elongation, and also controls the yearly cycle of the plants. And the another two hormones, these two hormones we can call as growth inhibitor hormones. That is number one, abscisic acid, and the number two is ethylene. Abscisic acid we can call a stress hormone, drought stress, or even though the temperature stress, cold stress, flood stress, salt stress, number of abiotic stress. And biotic stress means whenever we are going to apply the herbicides or pesticides or insecticides, that also impact on the plants. So that's why the biotic stress and abiotic stress, both are the stress is controlled by this abscisic acid of the abscisic acid in different plants. And also this abscisic acid is also called as dormancy hormone. bud dormancy, seed dormancy caused by this abscisic acid. And it also causes the fall down of the leaves and also even though fruits. And it is also abscisic as also responsible for the closure of the stomata. Okay, now stomata closed by this abscisic acid, but just because of the drought condition or stress condition or extreme conditions. But cytokinins are very important for the opening of the stomata. And last one, ethylene. Ethylene is the last phytohormone of the this hormone. It is a gaseous hormone. It is also important for the triple response. Are you ever heard the term triple response, my dear friends? Triple response. Though the triple response means whenever the root is going to produce or root is going to grow in the geotropic movement in the within the soil, that is the one movement. And the second one is that is grow laterally, that is the second movement. Whenever going to produce number of roots or lateral roots, whenever the obstacle is observed or obstacle has come, the root is going to modified or the turned their movement and they are grown in different way. So that three types of the movements we can call as triple response. And also, my dear friends, remember the with the help of this ethylene, the stem size is also enlarged. Radially, the plant is going to develop. Okay, and this ethylene is also we can call it death hormone. And this ethylene is also responsible for the respiratory climactics. Respiratory climactics caused by this ethylene. Okay, and the ethylene is induces the speed of the ripening of the fruits and is also induced senescence. Okay, now so these are the different phytohormones and the roles of the phytohormones of the different plants. Okay, my dear friends, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, Madam Garu,
సార్ చెప్పండి.
any doubts, Madam Garu?
సార్ నాకు డౌట్ కాదు, స్టూడెంట్స్ కి.